Boundless. Hello world, it's Kurtis Potter with Boundless Inspiration. Today I'm going to do this video and it's about a mistake I made yesterday and the lesson I learned from it. Now, that's why I come and I speak to you all, because this dude right here, I made plenty of mistakes. But I truly believe life is the best teacher, and you learn some of the most life-changing lessons by making those stupid mistakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you one today and the lessons I learned from it. So anybody that has a squeamish stomach, like you don't like seeing blood, I suggest you turn away for just a moment and I will let you know when you can look again. So as you see this Band-Aid, it is obviously bleeding through, and go ahead, take it off. Yep. Doesn't seem that bad. It's only about 1.5 inches long cut, but it went straight to the bone. And not only that, for the people that have squeamish stomachs, you can look again. So I cut my fingers about 1.5 inches long, and it was so bad, I instantly filled my hand with blood. I mean, I was at a homeowner's house, had this guy working with me. Him and the homeowner were standing right there, hovering over me, literally just looking down, watching my hands work, right? I don't know why. I instantly got nervous. See, at times in my life, especially when I've been doing any kind of work in front of homeowners, managers, for some reason, when they're hovering over you, I start getting that anxiousness and getting flustered. And I don't know why, because even like yesterday, what I was doing, I had done 100 times over. Very confident in myself and my capabilities. I've even had workers of mine be like, man, Kurtis, dude, that homeowner was just hovering over us. And I said, I know, that's why I stepped up and just did the work. So that way you didn't get nervous, and I'll put it on my shoulders as a business owner. And because I knew how flustered I'd get, and I knew how some of my employees and some people I've worked with in the past, they'd be the same way, right? And see, there was a lesson from this cut, because I got blood all over the homeowner's floor. Luckily, we was in a garage and it was no big deal. But right after I did it, I said, gosh dang it, dummy. I even said it out loud. And the homeowner's like, oh, no big deal, man. And what was even more messed up was the guy that I work with has this saying, whenever he's cutting, he says it almost every time he pulls out his knife, he says, cut towards your buddy so you don't get bloody. It's a funny saying, and obviously, I don't know where he heard it from, but I was like, right before I cut myself, I even thought that, cut towards your buddy so you don't get bloody. So instead of pulling the knife backwards, I pushed it forwards. So I did what he said. But where I went wrong was I had my hand right in the way, holding the dang piece that I was cutting. That's how it went right to my finger, right? So see, the homeowner was one of the coolest homeowners I've worked with in a long time. I mean, this dude was offering us drinks, food. If I would have asked him for a beer, I guarantee you he would have said, here you go. I was out there multiple times when we're going in and out of the building. He had 2 German Shepherds, gorgeous dogs. I'm picking up their Frisbees and throwing it with them. Him and I are pretty much playing fetch with his dogs the whole day we're working there, off and on. And this dude was cool. There was no reason for me to get anxious, get in a hurry, get anxiety. It was all stuff that I was just festering up in my head. And I was very confident in what I was doing. I had done it so many times. I was so confident. There was no reason for that. Right? So I just ask you, and I ask myself, like, how many times in my life did I create anxiety, get in a hurry, make a mistake over something that I shouldn't have? I was so confident in it. I knew my capabilities. And even my intuition told me to slow down. Literally, like probably seconds before I was about to cut myself, I even said, slow down or you're going to cut yourself. Bam! Did it anyways. And it's like, what? Like, how many times in our lives have we gotten this intuition? I believe in the Lord above, and I feel like he was like, hey, Kurtis, you know better. You about to cut your finger. Yep, sure did. And I mean, I filled my hand with blood. I mean, instantly my other hand was full of blood to where it was puddled up so much that by the time I got out of the dude's garage, it had already dripped multiple places. Then I had to go back and clean it up. Got in a hurry. If you want to check out one of my other videos on YouTube, it's called Slow Down to Speed Up. Kind of a racing analogy. But it just talks about how I should have slowed down because then I had to take time to go in the house, clean up my hand, bandage it up, clean up my blood on the floor. Like that ended up taking like 30 minutes. So I ended up, for no reason, created this mental distraction in my mind, cut myself. Now my hand hurts. And I had to humble myself and be like, man, Kurtis, you knew better. You're better than that. I was kind of hard on myself and I call myself a dummy, which I'm not a dummy. I just make some dumb decisions every once in a while. But I'm okay with it now because I used to be really hard on myself. Like, man, you dummy. I'd let it fester and really get me like making mistakes. But now it's like, man, you know what? I'm human and I make mistakes. But I'm not always good at handling things in the moment. I haven't been throughout my life. I've always been good at self-reflecting. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of times I'll look back and be like, Kurtis, you could have done this better, this better, this better, this better, right? Coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't. I'm my own worst enemy at times where I'm really hard on myself. People thought I was hard on them. You should just be inside this mind for a day and see how hard I am on myself because I knew better. I even got a warning sign. I even had a dude right next to me who taught me that lesson multiple times. My intuition, I ignored it because some reason I got in a hurry and just got festered up. I've done the same thing when bosses are watching me, other coworkers. For a long time, I didn't like to train people because I was like, that's when I'm going to make mistakes. But you know what? It's no big deal. I made it a bigger deal than it was, right? And so one of the tips, the acronyms I tell people on these videos that I learned and I love it, it's called AIR, right? We got to have air to breathe. To live. You got to be able to breathe air to live. And one thing I was taught a while ago, and I love it, it's AIR. You got to have air to breathe. So AIR, acknowledge, interrupt, and replace. You know what? In my head, I knew that I was getting anxious for some reason over something that was very simple. I'm just cutting something with a freaking knife. Interrupt it with, hey, Kurtis, you're doing something that's so simple. Why are you allowing your mind to get the best of you right now? And then replace it with, hey, dude, you've done this so many times. Just slow down. You've got this. If you just slow down and do what you know how to do it, then the homeowner's going to look at you and be like, man, dude, you're really good at that. And I am. But instead, he was probably thinking, dude, that dude's young. He's got some lessons to learn. Wet behind the ears, I think they say, right? Acknowledge, interrupt, replace. And see, I even thought about like people that hyperventilate because like I wasn't to that point where I was like, I wasn't to that point, that type of nervousness. But I know there's people like that where they get so much anxiety. I used to work with somebody when the boss would come up and start getting on her. As soon as he walked away, she'd take one of her Xanax. It would get her that worked up. And I don't know about you, if you're the same way, you let stuff get you that worked up. Get that bag, breathe into that bag. You got to do that. Well, that's when it's the air. Slow down. Get your breathing right. Slow down to speed up. Acknowledge how you're feeling. Interrupt it with, you shouldn't be feeling that way. Replace it with my confidence, right? So then I was just thinking, because the rest of the day, I had bandaged this thing up 3 times yesterday. Because then when I would go to work and I would go to try to pick something up with this hand, the wound would just split back open. I would feel it trying to heal and me tearing it again for the rest of the day. It didn't feel good. I'm almost certain I hit the bone because it feels bruised. Not only the pain of the cut, but the bruising. Like, I got it good. So before the end of the workday, I told old boy, the dude working with me, I'm like, dude, this is stitches worthy. And he's like, oh yeah? I said, yeah, man, I'm looking in my first aid kit. And I was like, dude, I don't have any of that liquid skin. I think it's like liquid stitches or something like that. Pretty much super glue, but it's not bad if it gets inside your cut. I was like, I'm about to go to CVS, Walgreens, and get some of that because this one, every time I use this hand, I just keep ripping it back open with some of the easiest things. But if I squeeze my hand, rips it open, right? I'm going to show you a picture again so squeamish people don't look. I mean, that's almost 24 hours where it's healed. But, dude, it was bad yesterday. It was just filleted open like butterflied like a dang steak. And see, I thought about that too. I put a Band-Aid on a cut that needed stitches. I've put a Band-Aid on a wound that needed healing. I've put a Band-Aid on something in my life that I needed to address, and I didn't want to fully address it, so I put a Band-Aid on it, and then what happened? Just like that, next part of my day, cuts it back open again, right? So how many times in my life have I known that I needed to address something like yesterday's video? We all have some area that needs addressed. But how many times in my life where I was like, you know what, matter of fact, I went to counseling one time. I went through, I think it was like Indiana Wesleyan University on the west side of Indianapolis. And it was their college kids that were actually in their senior year of psychology and whatever degree they need to be able to counsel people. And so it was like I think they had to be in the last 6 months of their degree. But they're all but finished, right? And they're going to be counseling people. And the problem was I started that and I was really enjoying the growth that I was getting. But after I had went for like 6-8 sessions, my counselor, my therapist said, hey, I just want to let you know this is our last session. And I'm like, what? Am I getting kicked out of here? She said, I was like, did I do something wrong? Was I too honest? Or, She said, no, since this is a college program, we're all about to graduate. So it's only a 6-month program for us. And you came in already halfway through. So next week we're all graduating. Everybody's graduating. So you're going to have to come back next year. Right? And I was growing and I was addressing some of my anger issues and stuff that I was dealing with from when I was a kid. And I got through a lot of stuff. But since it stopped, I didn't instantly enroll myself in another counseling program or therapy program. So I just put a Band-Aid on it. And I didn't get complete healing. And the next thing you know, what happens? I squeeze something, it rips open that wound. I go through something and now another wound comes up similar to what was causing me to have anger that I didn't deal with before. I go through another breakup and it makes me want to start having that porn addiction again and looking at porn. So you know what? I'm over girls. I'm not going to go out. I don't even feel like dating, putting in that kind of energy in another relationship for another person who's going to let me down for another waste of my life, right? Stuff I used to say. But I needed healing and I needed to work on me. And I needed to look in the mirror and say, hey, dude, this is not Band-Aid worthy. Those anger issues, not Band-Aid worthy. That pornography addiction is not Band-Aid worthy. That addiction to smoke weed and drink alcohol, not Band-Aid worthy. That addiction to deal with some of my mental struggles from when I was molested was by laying with all kinds of women. That's not Band-Aid worthy. That's stitches worthy. That needs healing because you're putting your faith in the wrong areas. Check out my other video on YouTube. It's Trading Faith, I believe is the title of my video. And it's where you're putting your faith into things that you don't need to, even me being like a workaholic. Whenever I wasn't trying to deal with something, I'd just work more. I'd be so busy that I couldn't think about the things that I really needed to address. I needed to slow down and get some real healing. Continue going to therapy and counseling like I'm doing now. I'm still doing it, and I just love the growth that I'm getting every single week that I go in there. And where was I putting my faith in the wrong things? Now I put my faith in God, and people question it, but I'll tell you, that's one of the best ways that I got true healing. It all started with looking in the mirror. You know, if I go into church and the pastor talks about how easy was it for me to point that finger? You know what? Sometimes I'd go in there, my wife would be right next to me, and I thought it was something that he's speaking to her, right? But I can't tell you how many times when I really started to become humble and lower my pride and my ego and be like, man, that sermon was for me. And it wasn't an attack. He wasn't attacking me. He was helping me grow. He was helping me get healing. He was helping me with the stitches or the surgery that was going to heal me and fix me if I allowed it to. I can keep this Band-Aid on here, which I got so busy I forgot to go to CVS anyways, even though I drove right by a couple of them. Got home and went to take my shower, and I was like, dang it, I forgot. I should have put a reminder in my phone because that was one of the things I forgot. You know, I set an alarm in my phone for things. Today I've already set an alarm for 4:15 because I know we're going to be done with this job about 4 o'clock. That's our intention. So I set it for 4:15. So I know after I'm done working, bam, hey, this is what you got to do today. Don't forget. Right? So I needed that healing in life, not just with these wounds on our body. Hey, you know what? I do these videos because I'm right here working out. That was the healing I needed on my body too. Because when your physical body is weak, it also goes into your mental body. And when my physical body got strong, I'm not going to take off my shirt, but I got a six-pack now. 35 years old and I've got a six-pack. What's your excuse? I know mine was all kinds of things. I'm too busy. I have kids. My house is 45 minutes from any gym, and that gym's way out of my way. The gym I used to go to is an hour and 10 minutes away. Excuses, excuses, excuses. Now it's right here in the workshop. No excuses. Those are just dumb excuses, like that anxiety that was getting in my head because I was getting a rush. It was just a dumb thing. And you know what? I can call myself a dummy now. I used to be really hard on myself. Now I can laugh about it and be like, hey, you know what? Just don't do it again. That was a lesson to bless you. Life's the best teacher to help you. Those mistakes, it's okay. You're human. You make mistakes. I had to give myself some mercy, some grace, and say it's okay to make some mistakes, Kurtis. Now just don't do it again. And if you do, still give yourself grace and just keep on doing it. Because eventually I'm going to cut that dang finger so many times where it's going to be like, Kurtis, don't do that again. Right? Kurtis, get some healing. So I did some research and I was like, you know what? What are some of the actual benefits of getting true mental, physical, emotional healing, right? So one of the biggest things is it gives you confidence going into the next thing. Man, I no longer look at this workout machine. I'll tell you, when I first got back into working out, man, I was looking at all those weights and I was somewhat intimidated. And I don't know why, because there was a moment in my life where I was a gym rat. I was in the gym every day, sometimes twice a day, like going ham. So you know what? Sometimes you'll pick back those old thoughts and get those old anxieties and worry and guilt and shame and just throw it back down and just remind yourself with that air, acknowledge, interrupt, and replace. And when you get back to addressing those areas that need stitches or surgery, needs a healing, when you actually go after them and say, you know what, I'm going to start working on this, it's going to give you confidence. It gives you the capacity to understand that you have the capability to address an issue you have with yourself. You can look yourself in the mirror. You can take ownership and be the source and know that you can change self-defeating behaviors and habits. Man, the confidence that it gives you. You know what? I'm going to deal with this and I'm going to get through it. And then I'm going to deal with that and I'm going to get through it. What's boundless? You know what? I made boundless because I knew there were things holding me back in life that shouldn't. And every time I address and I work on and I read books and go to seminars and workshops and church and read and just go to counseling and stuff, I know that I'm able to defeat those previously self-defeating habits and behaviors that I wasn't happy. I had to get sick and tired of being sick and tired of making those same stupid mistakes where I was like, you know what? It's time to look that man in the mirror and get some change. And see, through that, what it's done, it also helps improve your communication. It helps you become a better communicator. It gives you these stories like this where you can communicate to other people to where they hopefully, like that reason I do this, so hopefully you all don't make those same mistakes. It improves your communication, which is also another booster for confidence. It improves your focus, right? How many times, you know what, when you became broke financially, somehow your focus, you know what, you got to a point where you're sick and tired and you're like, you know what, I'm going to pull myself out of debt. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make $1 billion, right? Whatever it is for you. I want to make $100,000 a year. I want to make $75,000 a year. Whatever it is for you. It took some of those pains, that finger that hurts, for you to learn that lesson, to give you the focus to push you into that direction. And see, when you get that real healing, it relieves depression, anxiety, doubt, fear, worry, and so much more, right? Like if I go back into the next homeowner's house or a business and I'm doing work in, like, you know what, Kurtis, you're confident. You know what you're doing. Don't worry about them. That's the devil. The devil is a lie. He's there to kill, steal, destroy, and get you to think, cause fear, false evidence appearing real. When it should be just focus, face everything and rise, right? I knew better. Let's rise to this situation. Let's rise to this lesson. Let's move through it. Let's move past it. Let's be better. Let's work on being boundless. Not because we're better than anyone else, because I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. You think I'm going to cut myself again today? Well, hopefully not. I can't predict the future. I would buy some lottery tickets. But my intention is not to, right? And see, when you get real healing, it helps you manage stress, confidence, helps you become a leader. You know, and these are lessons that I can teach to you all, to my kids. And hopefully that'll take them to their kids. Hopefully that'll prevent my kids from making those same dumb lessons, which they got to make some lessons. And there's going to be times where I got to let them. My son keeps jumping off the couch. And I keep telling him, no, hey, dude, don't do that. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. You're going to, bam, he busts his head. Told you. He had to learn those lessons, right? You know what? Give yourself some grace, some mercy, some forgiveness. You had to go through that to learn that lesson. See, it didn't happen to you. It happened for you. If you allow it to become a blessing, that test that you're going through or went through was for your testimony. Are you dead? I used to ride with this person. Man, I'd be grabbing that shit handle. And I'd be like, dude, did you die? He always be like, did you die? Did you die? Did you die? But did you die? I think my sister used to even say that same thing. But did you die? And I got to where I'd say, did you die? Hey, what you went through, did you die? No. It may have hurt. You may have went through a divorce. You may be having to pay child support. You may not get to see your kids. You may have lost a business. You may have lost all your money. You may, gotten 100 pounds overweight. Set a goal. Set an intention. Be the source. Take ownership and fix it. It's all right. You may be a guy out there only get to see your kid every other weekend. That gives you all kinds of time to work on yourself. Get that improvement. Work on becoming boundless. And when you're with your kids, just be present. Spend every moment you can with them. Enjoy it. Make the most out of every situation. Get that healing. Hey, you know what? We may not understand so many things that happen to us in life, but it all has a reason. It all has a purpose. Maybe that extra time was so you could spend some more time at the gym. Spend some more time reading. Spend some more time going to workshops. Going to counseling. Writing a book. Building a business. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're going through. But I promise you there's a reason for it if you just look for it. You know what? If you want to find negativity, you'll find it. But if you want to find the positivity in a situation, you'll also find it. If you say you can't and you can, you're right. Whatever you say you could do, if you say, I can do this, you're right, you can do it. No matter what it is, you can do it. You can achieve it. You can be it. You can get healing, and you can become the best boundless version of yourself. I hope this helped you all. If it did, like, share, comment, tag someone. You know the drill. Put in that comment section an area where you kept putting a Band-Aid on something in life and you finally got healing. It doesn't make you weak to put those comments in there. It makes you strong, and it helps other people, which is even a better reason for your lesson, is if you're helping someone else through it. I love you all. I thank you for the continued support I'm getting as I'm building this brand, Boundless Inspiration on Facebook, Instagram. I'm building up my social media. Kurtis PotterJr. on YouTube. Kurtis with a K. I love you all. I hope these videos helped. Send it to somebody in a message if they need to quit putting Band-Aids on stuff and need to get a real healing. Yeah, I'm gonna get that liquid Band-Aid today. I got to, because I'm tired of ripping this thing open, not trying to allow it to get infected. I love you all. I hope this helped. I pray that it reaches everybody it needs to reach, because every single day, together, none of us are better than ourselves. We ain't pulling those